Yes, we're double live. Guys, we are double live. Wow, have we had a morning. Guys, we have got storms hitting all over the world. We've got the atomic clock at the closest point to midnight it's ever been. We've got the potential of sabotage hitting the United Kingdom at the moment. And we've got all sorts of wild stuff happening and my camera's not focusing. Hang on, where is it? There. So, yeah, hang on. Yeah, so guys, we are going to be double streaming this morning. So we're going to be on those guys and those guys, because when we upload these things, sometimes it goes wrong. Sometimes, you know, the perspective's wrong. Sometimes the lighting's not right. So I'm double streaming so the other one can be uploaded. Anyway, so guys, where are we going to start? First of all, has everybody been watching what's been happening in Florida? Scenes from Florida are absolutely apocalyptic right now. Sarah, have we got the correct settings on the thing? Yeah, okay, cool. So, yeah, absolutely insane scenes from Florida. You know, the storm, obviously.
Thank you for your subscription, AJ.
Guys, thank you so much for your subscription. We do exclusive content for you guys every day. We can put more stuff. I mean, we literally had a video taken down today. We had just had to appeal it. And so we get so much stuff taken down. Like the video we got taken down today for misinformation was literally a video where I'm sharing something from, I think it was a mainstream media article. So much of our stuff gets taken down. That's why we have to do the private videos to you guys, so we can get that information out to you guys that doesn't get as much censor, that doesn't get censored as much, because without that, the videos just get taken down and then it wouldn't help anyone. So guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share our stuff, because we really appreciate it when you guys do that. So, excuse me. Hang on, just looking at that. So, guys, yeah. So the situation in where are we going to start, guys? Are we going to start with Norway raising their defense budget? Are we going to go with Donald Trump being Trump-proofed out of Europe? And can we all just, while we're here, guys, and doing this stream, something I've noticed from Florida and watching, this is just my perspective, watching things, as a Westerner, as a Brit, watching things over here from the other side of the pond. Guys, isn't Ron DeSantis just like if you want to see what leadership looks like, Ron DeSantis right now, he is killing that, and he's doing, like, the job he's doing right now is absolutely amazing. People, and he's like, when you look at Ron DeSantis, like, can you imagine the juxtaposition between Ron DeSantis dealing with the situation and Kamala Harris having to deal with the situation? Like, when Ron DeSantis is taking questions from the audience, he's not looking around for a teleprompter or one of his aides to answer it. Straight away, he doesn't look. He looks directly at that's how you know people, if you look at people when they're giving press conferences, look at the questions that are being asked and how they answer them. They answer them off script, and they can talk about these things like Ron DeSantis can. He's straight at these questions. He's dispelling people's myths. He's dealing with that situation. That's kind of what you want from a leader in times of crisis. I cannot imagine how Kamala Harris would be dealing with a situation. I mean, can you imagine right now, guys? Guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tap the screen if you can.
Share the live if you can.
And share the live onto as many platforms as you can. But can you imagine right now if Kamala Harris was having to deal with one of these situations, if there was like a global catastrophe and she was dealing with, I don't know, if she was... Yeah, sorry, they've just sent me that message again about, I've just had so earlier on, guys, we had a massive problem because I got a text message through saying that my daughter wasn't at school. So I'm like, oh, what's happening? And then I went up, it was a problem with the system, but, the way they're dealing with it is terrible. And they've just sent me an email now saying that she's still not at school. So anyway, but like I said, can you imagine Kamala having to deal with this sort of situation? Can you imagine with her having to deal with anything like that, in the context that she's having to think on her feet and make her own decisions? It's just not something that I feel she could do in any, tangible way. And then I look at how, the government of the United Kingdom, and you've got to look at, you've got to accept Keir Starmer as the Prime Minister, because He is the Prime Minister. And can you imagine if Keir Starmer was in like a situation where, I don't know, say the United Kingdom was under attack by a foreign nation and he had to make his own decisions and he had to, on the spot make decisions, and those decisions have ramifications, because what you see in these, like, in these situations where you need strong leaderships is the only people really, and I'll tell you why this is after, but the only people I have any trust in being able to manage these situations is the military. Because when you see military dealing with things, they deal with them straight away. They're not political, they're not ideological, they just get that job done. Now, I spoke to a lot of guys who were in the military around about the 2020 wild stuff that we had. And some of the things that they were saying about how the NHS has dealt with and how the NHS deal with things. And the problem is these civilian organizations are not pressure tested. Like, for example, Ron DeSantis, he's the governor of Florida. They have hurricane seasons every year. So, so he's pressure tested. He knows how to deal with things in times of crisis. He knows how to get that stuff sorted. When we're looking at our political class in the United Kingdom, they're not pressure tested. They're really not pressure tested. And, the doctors and the emergency services, they're not really pressure tested. I mean, of course, what I mean is they've never had to deal with these high intensity incidents, these high intensity. I don't want to use the word conflict out of context, but I think you can use the word conflict here because, the United Kingdom is 100% heading into conflict of some sort. So, going back to what I said earlier about how I have more trust in the military to deal with things. It's because when you go on military exercises, especially the infantry exercises, you don't get tested until you get things right, which is what happens in a lot of civilian courses. You get tested, you get pressure tested until you don't get things wrong. Now, there's a big difference there, being able to do simple tasks. Okay, you can do a simple task. So you learn that, I don't know, in the NHS, it would be how to cannulate someone, how to do something, do a procedure, whatever it is. They do it a few times and then that's fine. They go and do that in their job. Okay, fine. Can you do that when you're cold, when you're wet, when you're hungry, when you don't have the right equipment? Can you do it in the dark? Can you do it, with your left hand? Can you do it with your non-dominant hand? These are the things you get taught in the military. And this is how you get pressure tested in the military. And those leaders that emerge from the military, they're the ones who've succeeded, who shine in those pressurized situations. In the civilian world, in the political world, you get promoted for backstabbing this is my optics, guys. You get promoted for backstabbing, scheming, politicalmanship and doing all sorts of wild stuff. Because, guys, under no circumstances do I believe Keir Starmer's got where he is because he's a pressure-tested, dependable guy. I think he's got where he is because he does as he's told by Lord Ali. And that really is the way I feel it. So can you imagine, guys, and if Lord Ali's in charge of the United Kingdom, so be it, guys. We voted for that. I'm all for that, but can you imagine the Comanche now, if there was an incident like they have in Florida, whereby, something happens in the United Kingdom, then they have to, Keir Starmer has to ask Lord Ali then has to email him back. Then they have to have a look. It just take forever. This is why it's so terrible having the political leadership that we have in the United Kingdom at the moment. I didn't want to be that guy who just comes out and he's so negative on the on the political class in the United Kingdom, but it just keeps pushing further and further forwards, and it just seems more and more calamity every time something comes out. And guys, remember, don't forget to like, tap, share the screen, and guys, tomorrow's live, we are doing a giveaway. We're giving away an urban survival kit. Who's ever heard of an urban survival kit? I bet none of you have ever heard of an urban survival kit. Why? Because we invented, in fact, you know what? Me and Sarah, we invented urban survival kits. One day in the dictionary, when it says urban survival kit, there'll be a picture of me and Sarah smiling, holding it.
Sharon Owens here. I am here, but elbow deep in ice and sugar, decorating my daughter's cake. Oh.
Is that a birthday cake? Is that Sharon? Is that a birthday cake?
UK veteran put that free gear Kia hasn't heard of one.
Yeah, so like, and I don't know where I go with this, guys, because again, like how do I put this? Like looking at how the people in Florida, how the leadership in Florida are dealing with this absolute what's coming on. You know, if I'm right now there, I'll once I finish talking, guys, I'll go on to the I'll go and have a look what's happening in Florida. But looking at how the leadership are dealing with this, looking at the confidence, you know, somebody asked a question and Ron DeSantis, he said, you know, have you asked the federal government for assistance? And he just said, no, we've got everything we need. I'm dealing with it. I'm in charge. And you know what, guys? When people come out with that confidence and that strength of character, it shines through. It shines through, guys, and it eclipses everything else. So, like, contextually, this would be like, in the UK, it'd be like if Yorkshire had a problem and the mayor of Yorkshire, you know, was asked, has he asked for government support? And the mayor of Yorkshire just said, no, I've got everything I need. I don't need any help from anyone else. We've got this. Bear in mind, contextually, they've got the biggest storm known to man heading towards them. And Ron DeSantis has stood there cool as a cucumber saying, no, I got this. That just installs trust, leadership into everybody. Now, I think what UK veterans said then is about pressure testing our politicians. How do we do that? You know, I think there should be some sort of leadership course, at least that these guys have to go on to make sure they're up to the, you know, that they're up to the job. Can they work in adverse conditions? Can they work under stress? Can they work in, you know, I don't want to use the word hostile, but I can't think of a better one. Can they work in hostile environments when, you know, they don't have all the resources, all their staff are not here, you know, they have to make decisions for the best, you know, not the best decision. Sorry, it is the best decision, but they have to make the decisions for the greater good. And they just have to make decisions, say, right, okay, 51% of you want to do that. 49% of you want to do that. I'm in the 49%, but do you know what? That's not how democracy works. We're going to go with the 51% because that's what we do. And it just seems really, I think what I'm getting at, I just feel really jealous that we don't have a Ron DeSantis in the United Kingdom at the moment, and I really can't see one. I can't see one emerging. I really can't, and I just hope one day, you know, Americans can have Ron DeSantis as their, you know, as their president, because he's the type of person who deals with things and who's not ideological, who understands that the bins need to get emptied on a Tuesday, the beaches need to get cleared on a Wednesday, and you know he understands how all this stuff works together, and it really is. It's anyway, guys. I just wanted to get that out there, you know, about what I've been seeing on the news, the leadership I've been seeing from the United States, and how, you know, and how lacking we are in the United Kingdom of any real leadership. I can't see any leader in the United Kingdom at the moment. I mean, I really can't. We've got well, that's the question, Sarah.
UK veterans has put, he knows that the federal government wouldn't help and FEMA would make the situation worse.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even if I don't know enough about the situation, but if that is true, how much more confidence must he have to stand there and say, you know what, we're on our own? It's kind of like when Theoden's at the end of Two Towers, how when Theoden stood and the orcs are coming and he's not showing, he knows that he can't hold them, but he's not letting anyone see a crack in his armor. It's kind of that authority and that resilience and that leadership that we just lack so much in the United Kingdom.
Sharon's daughter's 15 today.
So she's not your little girl anymore. Sharon, how would you feel if you got a message from the school saying your daughter's not at school and you know for a fact you sent them off this morning walking with their little bag on when she was 12? You'd be terrified. you know, and it is a terrifying thing, especially in today's world, how you see all these, you know, these things, you know, wild stuff happening. You know, don't forget, you know, we live just outside Rotherham, so all sorts of wild stuff happens here, you know, and it's just absolutely insane. And then we phoned the school up, and I had an argument with the lady at the school, so I had to go up and articulate myself legibly, shall we say. So, guys, let's get back to the global conflicts and, you know, and war, famine, you know, hunger, all the rest of it. We've got something. I did an article earlier on. I did a video earlier on you guys, and I talked about the atomic clock. There's this exhibition in, I think, Switzerland. Yeah, there's an exhibition. I think is it Switzerland or Sweden? I think it's Switzerland. There's an exhibition in Switzerland, and it's called We Will Survive, and it's like a big exhibition about how people would, if there was like a global catastrophe, whether that's, you know, global nuclear war, global famine, pandemic, you know, AI takes over, whatever, aliens come, how people would survive and how resilient people can be. And one of the things on that, you know, on the website, it says that right now in the world, we're closer to Armageddon than we've ever been. And it says it's 90 seconds, but I can remember when they update the atomic, I think it's called the atomic clock, and they update it every year, and they're taking all these things in. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, UK veterans just put 90 seconds to midnight. Can't believe that didn't get changed at the start of the year.
Yeah, so they change it every. Yeah. So this is that's what I'm coming on to. So they change it at like the beginning of the year, and when they changed it, I thought it was a little bit, I can't believe they changed that. But can you imagine what's happened from the start of this year to now? I mean, we've got like, can you imagine saying you would have enemy troops holding ground inside Russia? Can you ever think that that wouldn't lead to nuclear Armageddon? You know, it's part of Russian nuclear doctrine that says that they will use nuclear weapons if there's an existential threat to Russia. So that's happened. You know, you've got this rhetoric now, and at some point, you know, the West are going to let Ukraine use long-range missiles to strike targets into Russia. That's happening. We've got this situation in the Middle East now. I don't even know how to describe it anymore, you know, where you've got Israel fighting a war on 7 fronts. You've got the Iranians potentially now with the, you know, I have to say potentially, guys, because there's nothing really out on mainstream to confirm it. But, you know, the Iranians potentially testing a covert nuclear weapon. Like the tensions in the Falklands, you know, the emergence of, you know, powers in the East. Guys, you know, I just don't see how right now that atomic clock can still be on 90 seconds to midnight, which is what it was on at the beginning of the year. And at the beginning of the year, it didn't change either, which is what the same as it was last year. So I really don't see how that atomic clock hasn't changed, hasn't gone up, hasn't moved, and hasn't pushed us further into a global catastrophe. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the post if you can on other platforms, and tap the screen, guys, because that really pushes us up through the algorithm. And like I said, guys, if you guys subscribe, we get exclusive videos to our subscribers every day. And that is literally because, guys, you know, we are having so many videos taken down now that we have to appeal them, you know, and by the time that appeal process, you know, goes through, it might be a day, it might be 2 days, and that information is not relevant anymore. Equally with that, you know, some of the videos just don't get put back on. So it just, you know, it is difficult. But if we get at them, we get those videos out to our subscribers, you know, those videos stay on there, and then, you know, people get to see that. And that's just, it just is the way it is, guys. Just if we get videos taken down, that doesn't really get any news to you guys out in, you know, that helps anybody, you know, looking forwards, you know. And the example I will give is the example that I gave like a couple of days ago. I think, and I give this example because it's kind of like a relevant one in the context that I said something was a threat in the morning. That afternoon, it happened in Europe as I said it would, you know, and I got that video out to our subscribers. So we do those types of videos, you know, every day. But yeah, so the Middle East is just going absolutely insane, guys. It's, you know, it's very difficult to understand what's happening. But I think the main news from the Middle East right now is people will be scrambling around to see if this, if this earthquake, if this tremor that happened in Iran, if that is an actual nuclear weapon. Now, I can't say it is. I certainly can't say it isn't, but, lots of people are saying that the shock signature is consistent with what they would expect to see from a nuclear detonation at 10 kilometers. Now, they're all saying that 10 kilometers, it's shallow for an earthquake, which I have no idea. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the thing I want to bring to you, the four of you guys, is if that was a nuclear blast, that means that the Iranians have the capacity to dig down to 10 kilometers. Can you imagine the underground structures that they can have, like at that depth? And this is why it will make the US Air Force absolutely irrelevant, because you can't bomb. Okay, I don't think you can bomb that deep. Can you imagine having to try and get through that many layers of earth? It would be virtually impossible. So, that's why I just see these big calamities coming. And I think that here in the West, we're too fixated on fighting the last conflict that we've got this, what's the word I'm looking for? This sense of this, we're underestimating, I think, the potential threats from our enemies. And the threats are not going to come conventionally. The Iranians have said, listen, when the Israelis strike us back, our response is going to be a non-conventional response. Then they have this potential detonation. So, who knows? Have you got your phone on charge, Sarah? Is it? Yeah. Sorry, guys. We literally came in here with like 30 seconds, and we had to get on because I'd just been articulating myself for the school, and we just got straight back on here for you guys because you guys deserve it. So, looking around Europe, then, what's been happening in Europe? I think that one of the main things coming out of Europe is this Trump proofing. So everybody's talking about Trump proofing Europe. So I'll just go with an article here from the, I think it's The Guardian. I remember that. Yeah, The Guardian. Trump proof European security by setting up NATO bank, think tanks urge. UK and German experts also urge leaders to actively consider measures to protect Ukraine if ex-President Trump is re-elected. This sounds like old news to us for you guys who've been watching this channel. It sounds like old news because we've been saying that this is going to happen for such a long time. But when was this article? I think it was today, I think. Hang on.
We need to have a check on weather as well.
Yeah, so this is Wednesday the 9th. So this was yesterday, Wednesday the 9th of October. So they're coming out and they're saying, we need to Trump-proof Europe. And this is going to happen. Europe are going to have to put their big boy pants on. They're going to have to pull their socks up, and they're going to have to support Ukraine against the Russians. Because if they don't support the Ukrainians against the Russians will keep pushing. Right now for the Russians, it makes no sense for them not to keep pushing because they know that NATO is pretty much at its weakest right now. Because they're squabbling around, they don't have leadership, they don't have a set goal. Think about NATO. There's like 31 different countries or something. Each one of those countries has their own political agenda, and they all have to agree on stuff. So it's really difficult to get anything to happen within NATO because each country, have their own little back scheming and their own elections coming up at different times. So, it's very difficult. Whereas the Russians, they just do what Putin says, and that's kind of it. So we really are going to come under that situation soon, where we're going to find is the big democracy, doing everything right, the latest technology, the best training, the best staff. Does that beat mass and communism? And we're going to find that out pretty soon, I think. Pretty soon after the US election. I really don't see any way how Kamala can don't see how Kamala Harris can win right now. I'm looking at her and thinking how she would be dealing with this hurricane that's going to hit, it's hitting Florida right now. In fact, guys, you know what? It's actually hitting Florida right now, isn't it? Guys, I'm just going to do a quick search now for Hurricane Milton. Let's see what's happening. Right, so Hurricane Milton looks like it's right over Orlando at the moment. So it looks like it's going to be, you know, it looks like a couple of hours, and it's going to be out into the Atlantic, and then in like maybe a week or something here in the United Kingdom, we'll start getting the tail ends of that. And guys, you know, be under no illusion, it's going to be nothing like it was over, you know, over Florida, but we will get the tail end of that. Sarah,
apparently, Blue Lagoon Iceland volcano could happen. People had sirens going off.
What's that? Blue Lagoon Iceland.
Yeah,
let me just
Iceland volcano.
Blue Lagoon Iceland.
Yeah.
I can't find anything on the news. No, I can't find anything on the news about it. Maybe it's just happened recently. I don't know. Oh, hang on. No, we don't want to read that. We don't want to read that. That is something totally different. No, I can't see anything on the news about it. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but who knows? Who knows, guys?
Happened, apparently.
All right, yeah. Well, So mainly, what I always say, nothing's hidden anymore, and most things come out on. It will come out on social media first, where people have got their camera phones. People are just, you know, like me and Sarah, for example, we've got our phone and we're like, right, something's happening, let's record it, and then it'll take time then for that to trickle through to mainstream media. But you know, we are witnessing a lot of these like freak weather events that seem to be happening more often than they used to be. So you know, it's like I can remember when I think it was like 2000 and like maybe 11 or something. There was that ash cloud in like, I think that was Iceland as well. There was an ash cloud or something, and it went up and no planes could fly, you know, and that was absolutely catastrophic. I mean, I literally, the day that happened, I flew out of Baghdad and I was flying to Dubai, and then obviously from Dubai to Manchester, I think. We landed in Dubai, and they were like, yeah, all flights to Europe have just been closed. So we were stuck in Dubai for like 6, maybe 7 days. And, you know, it just shows you that world governments are not ready to deal with these massive global events. Staff in civilian industries are not pressure tested. They're not exercised. And the reason this can't happen is because when you're in the military, you do as you're told, and you don't really have a say about it. So the exercises in the military, like, let me just think of. So, for example, when I was in the military, like, if you went on an exercise, it would start with mass sleep deprivation. So, you know, you would be awake for maybe 2-3 days, and then you'd start to get like 20 minutes. You might get a 20-minute nap if you could. You'd be out in the fields, you'd be like walking, you're getting attacked. And it's only that way that you see how people react in these stressful situations. You know, you see people that just can't deal with it, and they fail. They just can't cope. They say, look, this is not for me, I'm done. And they go, they're gone. But the people that stick it out, the people who can push through, the people who can, operate, function in those adverse conditions, they're the ones who get promoted. They're the ones who, who go further on in their careers. So, that's why in my opinion, you can, not in my opinion, that's why you can trust the military to operate in these adverse conditions. The problem is, when other agencies, when other departments have to deal with these adverse conditions, because they've never been pressure tested, normally the person who gets promoted is for other reasons, and they're good at their job. How many people have been at work, and how do we say it? Somebody who, how do we say it, Sarah? That a suck up. Let me just be polite, because it's not 9 o'clock yet. But anyway, so somebody who just sucks up to the boss. How many of those people in the workplace get promoted in like a normal civilian workplace? It's lots, because that's what happens in the civilian workplace. And then guess what? Those people, when they're having to operate in an adverse condition, they're the people who fail, because they're not good at their jobs. They're just good at kissing, stuff. So that's kind of like, and I think I've only just I think I've noticed it more watching how Florida have been dealing with this, with this storm, watching how, Ron DeSantis has been like, how he's been, conducting himself, and then looking at like Keir Starmer, who's clearly only been, I mean, I don't know if I've said it on this platform or not, but I say that Keir Starmer, to me, gives me the vibes of a manager at a used car, at a used car lot. And he's only the manager, not because he's good, just because he's not good enough to get a job anywhere else, and he's been there the longest. So that's what I think of when I think of Keir Starmer. Now, I just can't see how he can, like, imagine like next month, Vladimir Putin. Go on, sorry.
UK Veterans has just put, did someone hack the BBC weather app today with the wind speeds put at 15,000 and temperatures of 400?
Oh, that must have been a hack, or somebody just put an extra couple of zeros, because that's certainly not what we're getting. Unless that's some parts of Scotland, perhaps. I don't know. I'm going to say so.
James Jones has just put, entering the civilian work sector in December 2021 was a shocker, seeing promotions given to suckers.
Yeah, that's it. So like, when I get like really intense at home, and I'm like, I'm getting intense and throwing like uniform out the window and stuff because it's not ironed. People think that I'm bonkers, but it's because people in the military, that you get pressure tested. You really do get pressure tested, and you don't just get pressure tested once a year. It's like you're constantly pressure tested all the time. Like, I can't think of, I'm trying to think of examples that don't involve things that I can't say. I think that's the best one,
Yeah, Leanna's just put, bosses don't like people with opinions.
Yeah, you see, bosses mostly like people who are going to agree with them. And those people who are going to agree with them are not usually people with their own opinions. And people who've not got their own opinions do not know how to operate in times of adversity. They don't. They just really don't. If I'll tell you one thing, actually, I can remember once I was on an operation in. I'm just need to be careful what I'm saying. I was on an operation in Afghanistan, and where we were supposed to be going, we chose the wrong buildings that we were going into. For some reason, it wasn't our fault. It was another problem, and it came on the radio to abort the mission. Well, the boss in charge, he said, no, we're not aborting. He said, I'm going to give you the new coordinates for the new building, which we could see. We're about 500 meters away. And as we were running towards that building, he was working out the new coordinates, without a map, without a compass. He was working out the new coordinates in his head, and he was restructuring the operational template as we were running towards this new set of buildings. You don't get that anywhere. You do not get that level of competency anywhere else in the world. You just don't get it, guys. All right. It came, right, guys, mission abort. It's been the wrong buildings. We're going to bring the helicopters in. We're going to lift you guys out. He was like, no, I'll give you the new coordinates right now, and I'll reconfigure my guys as we're running towards that building. And that's what happened. And when you work under leaders like that, when you see how, just how calm everything takes them, the world can be collapsing around them, and they're just cool as a cucumber saying, yeah, I've got this, and when you work with people like that, and then no disrespect to anybody in the civilian sector, but when you come back to like a civilian sector and you see people who you look at and you think, wow, you would fold as soon as you've not had your 8 hours sleep. It's kind of why we're doing YouTube videos and TikTok videos for you guys, so you guys can understand what's coming, so you can see what's happening. Guys, I'm going to quickly just give a little punt to our urban survival kit. Sarah, can you throw me that if you can? Sarah's getting the urban survival kit from our pedestal. That is, if you can imagine, guys, a velvet stool with all sorts of golden stuff around it. So, guys, tomorrow on our live stream, we're going to try and triple stream. Sarah, I can mention that one, can't I? Because we can put it in our thing. We've put it on our thing. Yeah. So guys, we're going to be triple streaming tomorrow. We're going to be streaming on you guys. We're going to be streaming on you guys. And then we're going to be streaming on Discord as well. We are going to have an open forum on our Discord. So I think we can I don't know how it works, but what we're going to do is we're just going to make it open so anyone can just come and see the camera at a different perspective, and you can join in the conversation like you're here in the room. Guys, I genuinely don't know what it's going to be like. It might be wild. Nobody might come on. We might have, trolls shouting, calling me a Walter Mitty. Absolutely fine, guys. We'll just deal with it. We'll just, like most things in my life, I'll just turn up and deal with it as it comes. Anyway, Urban Survival Kit. Now, again, I don't really want to, we've got some bad weather on its way right now to the United Kingdom, and that's going to be the tail end from Hurricane Milton. Let me have a quick check, guys, because I think the guys in Florida are out of the, I think they're out of it now. I think it's literally just going over Orlando now. So I think maybe in like an hour or so, it'll have reached the other side, and then, it'll be back to rebuilding. And that's how you see people. That's how you're going to see the color of people's metal, how they rebuild, how they reconstitute their, how they rebuild their lives. So right now we're going to, the tail end of Storm Milton is on its way here. Now, what that is when it gets here, it might be a drizzle of rain. It might be ferocious rain and ferocious winds. I genuinely don't know. There's a long way for it to go over the Atlantic, and normally it loses a lot of its, it loses a lot of its power. But, sometimes it gets here and you can have quite a lot of rain. Right now in the United Kingdom, I don't know if you know, but the rivers are really, really high. We've had a lot of rain domestically, especially in Yorkshire, North Yorkshire. The rivers are really high. So we could see flooding, could be localized flooding, could be nationalized flooding. We don't know. But what's that?
James has just put, have you seen the link to Bill Gates, Tampa, 15-minute cities and the hurricane?
No, I haven't. But what I'll say about these 15-minute cities, I was going to do a video on it actually the other day. I think we're already seeing them. I noticed this, and I've not made this connection, but I noticed this when I went to South Africa. I did some work in South Africa a couple of years ago. And a lot of South Africans live in gated communities. So they live in these big gated communities. You have security on the gate. You go in, there's a little shop, there's a swimming pool, there's a bar, gated communities. And then when I lived in Thailand for a little bit. When I lived in Thailand, they have the same, they're gated communities. And now in the United Kingdom, we've started to notice gated communities popping up. These little housing estates. And maybe it's done by design. Maybe some of them are done by coincidence, and I'm just noticing. But I can certainly think of right now 3 gated communities where we live, where they literally have a big gate, and you go in there, and there's maybe 10, 15 houses. And I can also think of at least 1 or maybe 2 of these new estates. What was the word? Is it a new estate, Sarah?
New housing estate.
A new housing estate, where there's only 1 road in and 1 road out.
Yeah.
So to me, now I'm thinking, wow, these literally are gated communities. And what's also a gated community? We're starting to build the 15-minute cities. Now, I don't know whether we're doing this consciously or unconsciously, because I know that a lot of people are worried about security. I mean, we're certainly worried about letting the kids play out. I mean, for whatever reason, the world is not like it used to be 10, 20 years ago. And, when me and Sarah used to be little, we used to play out on the street and everybody would know each other. And, you had a better sense of community. I just don't feel that anymore now for whatever reason. So when you're looking at these, these gated communities, they will have that sense of community again, because you'll be in a gated community. You can't get in or out without the gate fob or whatever it is. And as we progress, these gated communities will have security on them. And the more money you have, the better community you will live in. That's the reality. And if you've got no money, guess what? You'll be living on the wastelands. And then we're going into what's the word? Guys, come on, help me out here. What's the movie? The movie with the big mega cities. Judge Dredd. Then we're moving into a cyberpunk Judge Dredd landscape. Guys, I'm all for that. I'm all for going to Keshi Kovac as quickly as possible. But anyway, guys, so urban survival kit. So imagine the scenario now, right? You're in your house, freak weather comes in, mass floods, and your whole area is flooded. Nobody, absolutely nobody in the United... Guys, don't forget to tap the screen, like, share. Make sure if you can subscribe, please subscribe, because we go when we do our videos, we make sure every day we do exclusive videos for our subscribers, saying things that we wouldn't normally be able to say on a public platform. We had one video taken down today for misinformation. We've just had to appeal that. I think that's been put back up. Yeah, that's just been restored. But things take time to get restored. And if we put things out on the, on our public, as a public video, it gets taken down for misinformation. That may, this one was really quick. It may take a day. It may take 2-3 days to come back on. It may just not come back on at all. So that information's gone. And if the information's gone, it doesn't help anyone. Also, with that, every time you get a video taken down, you get like a little strike against your profile, your platform. And the more strikes you get, eventually you get your platform, disappeared. We're literally right now at green on our, what's it called? For a health check? Yeah. We're at green right now, but one more video taken down and we go down to amber, and then it's just a slippery slope then down to vanishing totally. And we don't want to vanish, and I know you guys don't want us to vanish either. Anyway, so imagine the scene right now. You're sat at home. It's a cold winter's night. The wind's blowing. All of a sudden, you get a notification on your phone. Freak weather warning, freak storm, freak rain is coming. Red weather warning for rain, prolonged rain or whatever, or the ground's already saturated, the tail end from Storm Milton's coming, whatever the scenario, picture it. You're where you live, it's flooded, you've got 2-3 feet of water, whatever. If you guys live in South Yorkshire in 2010, you know that this happens. We had mass floodings in 2010. How deep was it? It was really deep, weren't it? It was like people were like wading wading through their homes in water, so these things do happen. And, as we've already said, freak weather is happening more and more. So whatever the scenario is, let's just go with that. Nobody is going to be evacuating their house and living in the woods, sharpening sticks, hunting squirrels. Although some of you may think that's cool, all right, and you may want to do that, guys, all right. It's virtually impossible. It's really hard to live off the land. We've lost those skills. We don't forage, we don't hunt. I know our little girls, if we tried to feed them a squirrel, they would not be having it at all. They would literally rather starve. So the reality is, urban survival is what you're going to need. And nobody talks about urban survival. You've got Bear Grylls, who's, he's great at eating spiders and stuff. But there's a new aspect to this. It's urban survival. So the most likely, hang on, I'm ringing. Bolton. I have no idea what that is, but guys, I don't answer the phone while I'm doing a stream. So urban survival, it's what's gonna, it's what's gonna be relevant. And we always say this, have you got equipment now that you can just grab in a small bag and leave? In a worst case scenario, you want something this big. Now, this is like the optimum size for for a bug out bag. If you have anything bigger than this, you're going to start to become a target. People are going to, because guys, look what happens in these, incidents. You get people looting, you get criminal gangs. We've got criminal gangs operating everywhere in the United Kingdom at the moment, and I'd say the West in general. We know we've got saboteurs on the ground, so if you've got one of these great, one of these huge backpacks with all the shiny stuff on it, all the Berghaus, Monroe, all that sort of stuff, you're just going to be a target, and somebody's going to come and look at you and think, right, that's got some cool stuff in it. I'm going to steal that backpack, because they're the type of people who probably don't listen to the news, and they just like going around and stealing things. But anyway, so I've got a relative, it's a good size. It's not small. It's certainly not big. But this thing, it can be carried on your back. And also, if you do need to carry something, a bigger backpack on your back, you can carry this on your front. And guys, we are going to fill this with all sorts of goodies that you guys will need in an urban survival environment. The urban survival environment will be you've been put into temporary accommodation, been put into temporary shelter, you're moving, you don't have your phone, you don't have your chargers, you need the right identification, you're in a hotel room and you want extra security on the doors, all that sort of stuff. We're going to be thinking about that, and we've got that in here, and we're going to be giving that away tomorrow on our live to the top gifter. So guys, honestly, it's going to be wild. We're going to be triple streaming tomorrow. I don't even know what's going to happen. It may just all go down in a pile of flames. We may crash and burn. But guys, like everything, I'm going to turn up. I'm going to give it my best shot, which a lot of people should do. Stop second guessing yourselves. Right, guys, I think we have covered everything I wanted to cover this morning. We've done the Middle East. We've done the war in right, guys, yeah, here's one. So the UK is sanctioning Russian troops now because they're using chemical weapons in Ukraine. This was news to me. I didn't realize this was happening. So this was from an article from the 8th of October. The UK has sanctioned Russian soldiers, it says, have used chemical weapons on the battlefield in Ukraine. Now, it doesn't tell you what chemical weapon that is. Now, when you hear chemical weapons, you kind of think, oh my God, but like, you've got to understand what do they mean by chemical weapon? I mean, like, anything can be classed as a chemical weapon, really, if it's got chemicals in it. So I always have to look at the terminology there, because I think they'd have used a nerve agent, something more, something banned. I think they'd have used the name to get more clicks, basically, from the news article. But they've gone with chemical weapons. So I'm just a bit curious as to what chemical has actually been used. So Russia's radiological, chemical, and biological defense troops and their commander, Lieutenant General Igor Krylov, will be subject to an asset freeze and travel ban. 2 of the Russian Defense Ministry's scientific laboratories have also been designated. So I think what they're doing here is they're kind of looking at, like in the United Kingdom, we would have, is it Copill Down? No, it's not Copill Down. What's the place in Salisbury? Porton Down, yeah. So in the United Kingdom, we have Porton Down, which is like our chemical lab where they test all that sort of stuff. This would be the equivalent of Russia sanctioning the people who run Porton Down in the United Kingdom. The article goes on and it doesn't really tell you what chemicals being used, but it's just the fact that more of these sanctions are going in. They're targeting people now. They're identifying people. They're identifying units within the Russian infrastructure. And they're making it so these people can't travel. I do think that there's more to this story than's coming out. Like I did a video earlier about there's been a fire in London on one of the train tracks. I think Stevenage, there's been a fire on one of the train tracks in Stevenage, and that's taken out the communications cable on that line. Now, again, we can't say that this is sabotage, but it just seems very suspicious that there's a big fire right above a communications cable that runs at alongside a railway line. Now, if you guys think about your railway lines, they connect places, don't they? They do. That's kind of what your rail system does. Now, either at the side of your railway station, your railway line, you more than always have a cables trench. Literally always have them there. The cables trenches that run alongside the railway. So people always cut corners. So if you're a government agency and you need to lay a ground cable from point X to point Y, are you going to dig your own specific trench, or are you just going to follow the railway cable? Of course, you're going to follow the railway cable. Everybody does it. It's industry standard. It's easy. It's cost effective. You can just do it. The problem there lies, how easy are how easy is it to get access to our railway tracks? It's really easy. Anybody can do it. Everybody now, I can pretty much guarantee everybody will know a place that they can make access to a railway track. Literally at the side of those railway tracks, it's like a concrete, you'll see like a load of concrete slabs. If you lift, guys, I'm not saying you do this, but under those concrete slabs, that's where they lay the cables. It's like a small trench about this big, and that's just where they lay the cables. it's easy to do. It's, you know, they do that while they're putting the railway down, and you can just run those cables. So, you know, these are the targets that have been identified. You know, what do we always say? The targets that sabotage will attack are the ones that are easy to do and have the maximum outcome. So is it possible that a criminal gang could have just lifted that up, poured a load of petrol and flammable materials in it and set fire to it and walked off? Absolutely, it's possible that a criminal gang could have done that. But the question is, what else do those, you know, what else do those cables attach to? You know, we've had the chief of MI5 come out and say, you know, what did he say? He said this is the chief of MI5 now, guys, saying that they've stopped plans of mass murder involving firearms and explosives in the United Kingdom, guys. He's come out and said that now. That's not me. That's not me making stuff up myself. Guys, don't forget to tap the screen if you can. We really appreciate it when you do that. Pushes us up through the algorithm. Also, subscribe if you can. We get, you know, we do daily videos, exclusive videos to our subscribers. Share the live on other platforms if you can. And we're double streaming right now, and we're gonna put this live will be on our other platform as soon as we finish this, guys. All right. So yeah, we've got that. We've got Norway. Did we mention Norway? Norway are raising their defense spending by. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for, what did Lucy Lou do?
Bright apples.
Bright apples, guys. We love apples. Did you know that our apple tree this year has had an infection? So thank you for your apples, because our apple tree's had an infection. We've got no apples. I'm furious. But yeah, Norway. So Norway has raised defense spending by a whopping 21%. So Norwegian government has proposed an increase in defense budget for 2025 by 19.2 billion, bringing it up to just under £8 billion a year. Remember what I always say about the camping trip. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter. Look at interpersonal relationships between leaders and look at where they're spending their money. I've given this many times. You know, imagine the situation: 6 weeks holidays. You know, you've told your kids you're going camping. They come back. First day of 6 weeks holidays, they're being little brats. They're not tidying their bedrooms. They're not eating their dinner. They're changing their minds all the time. And so you say, right, we're not going camping. It's over unless you guys start being good. Okay. And then, you know, you're going out there, you're buying new sleeping bags, you're buying a new tent, you're buying a gas stove, you're buying compasses, you're measuring their feet to see what, you know, make sure they're still the same size shoes. Guess what? You're still going camping. Doesn't matter what you say. So this is what, you know, this is why I always look at where people are spending their money. You know, Norway, it's one of those countries that's right on the threat zone with Russia. You know, so the Norwegian people understand, you know, what could be the potential threat. We're relatively cocooned here in the United Kingdom. You know, it would take a lot for the Russian tanks to start rolling. It's virtually impossible for Russian tanks to get to the United Kingdom. But places like Norway, the Baltic regions, you know, Poland, Romania, look where those countries are spending their money. Norway literally increasing their defense spending by 21%. That they're not increasing their defense spending because they're not expecting a conflict. The whole of Eastern Europe now are expecting this to happen at some point. What I will do quickly, guys, I'll just have a quick look on the, I know I can do this because it, well, no, it wasn't. Hang on. On the war map, hang on. Let me give you an update from on the Ukrainian war map. Let's see what's been happening. I'll tell you guys right now how close the Ukrainians are from Pokrovsk. Remember, Pokrovsk is the key town in the east of Ukraine. Right, it looks like that's holding. So it was 9 kilometers the last time I checked. Let me just do a quick check. Guys, if I could screen share with you, I would, but I can't. So yes, 9.2. So it's still 9.2. So the Russian front line is 9.2 kilometers away from Pokrovsk, which is, for those of you guys who don't know, Pokrovsk is a key city in the east of Ukraine. It's a big rail hub. There's two rail hubs, two main railroads going in there, north and south, and there's two main roads coming out of there, north and south. So it's a big you know, it's a big strategic location for transport in that region. Guys, don't forget to tap the screen and like and share if you can. Guys, I think I've covered everything now. I'm gonna leave that now, and we're gonna cut this stream now. We're gonna leave it now. We are going to be back online tomorrow night. What time, Sarah?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock tomorrow night. We're going to give a free giveaway. It's going to be wild. 9 o'clock. You guys know what happens who follow us on the other platform. We're going to be opening this up to the, what's that one called, Sarah? The Discord server. We're going to be opening up our Discord server so people can come and shout at me and shout questions in real time. And then we'll just deal with it. We'll deal with it all live, guys. We will do this all live. Who else does this live? Do you see any of the mainstream news opening up things live and letting anyone come in? Absolutely not. Do you know why? Because they don't know what they're talking about. They read off scripts. They don't know what they're talking about. They've got agendas. Guys, we're just telling you what's happening and trying to make sense of this world we are living in. Guys, I'm gonna close that one now, and then I've got a couple more questions to answer on you guys. Guys, don't forget we're on 3 different platforms now, so go and like and share and show your support everywhere. Guys, for you guys, I'll see you guys later. Yeah, Malcolm just answered me on here. Yes, it was Just Dread. I was trying to thinking about that. The movie where everybody's in mega cities. That is literally where we're heading to at the moment. We're heading to, like, you know, a Judge Dredd landscape whereby, you know, we're all living in these mega cities. And if you think about what's that other movie? It's not a movie. Go on. Takeshi Kovacs, Altered Carbon, where you've got like the really rich people and they're living in like the cloud cities, and then the poor people are living right at the bottom in like in the slums. That's pretty much how we're going, because that's the way these 15-minute cities are gonna be. It was interesting how people in Florida prepared their homes and businesses for the hurricane. Really showed how unprepared and unaware most people are. Yeah, guys. So Nick CA, yeah. So this is a brilliant, question from Nick. It really, I think I'm right, Nick. I'm going to try and use this as a snippet for our other platform. Yeah, it does just show you like how people are dealing with this adversity in Florida is it's brilliant to watch the people come together. It's brilliant to watch how strong leadership descends down and how everybody are trying to help and everybody's trying to do their best. I really don't think we would have calamity if this thing hit the United Kingdom, because most people are just not used to adversity. Becky Hughes, so as the UK has a major storm and a war to look forward to in the near future. So I don't think we're going to have certainly we're going to have major storms at some point, but the storm that's coming as the tail end, I think that's what we're talking about from the United States. I don't think that a lot of that energy will have been dissipated in the Atlantic, but we normally get the tail end of that. Now, whether that's just heavier than normal rain or whether that gains traction, I don't know. Sometimes you get a percentage of it. Sometimes it just totally vanishes in the Atlantic, but we will get something, that's for sure. What else have we got? Danny Walker. Do you reckon the hurricane in the US was weather manipulation from Russia to try and destroy the US base in Florida? Ooh. So for those of you guys who don't know, there's like a US command base or something in Tampa, actually, which is in Florida. So right there in Tampa, Florida, you have this, I think it's like a US central command base where they command Central Europe or something. So I don't know if this is the Russians and, whether it is or not. I genuinely don't know. That it'll come out in time. But it certainly has had an effect on that location. Now, how the Russians would have done this logistically, I genuinely don't know. I don't know enough about this weather manipulation to be able to comment on that with any, with any input that you can't get on any mainstream outlet. I'm just trying to think how you would literally do it, because the only way I know how you do it is, this is old technology that's out there in the open source. You have to fly planes and you have to seed that storm with, I think it's dry ice. So I don't know how the Russians would be able to seed that storm with dry ice. I'm not saying it's not happening. There may be more other sophisticated weapons that they could use. I mean, can you use like resonant like microwaves from space? I mean, is that a thing that could happen? I don't know enough about it. I really don't. So what do I think about the moon not being seen for 10 days? I didn't know the moon had not been seen for 10 days. Darren Westwood, I don't know the moon's not being seen for 10 days, but I'll try and have a look into that and I'll try and figure that out. That's the first time hearing of that. I genuinely don't know. Guys, that is it. I am going to leave it there. We're going to cut People were live streaming last night. Good to have an all day. Yes, thank you so much. Right, guys, like I said, I'm gonna cut this now. I'm gonna leave. This will be uploaded onto you guys, onto YouTube Friday. Tomorrow we're gonna be triple streaming, I hope, on 3 platforms, because that's what triple is. It's just gonna be wild, guys. We're doing a free giveaway. Guys, I'm gonna Mag to Grid. I'll get you guys another video later.